Hi, I'm Brad Quirk from Quirk Apps. Today we'll explore the different chart types you can get from the Dependency Mapper tool. As you can see here, we already have our charts queried and visualized, so we'll walk through each one of the different options you have and how they might be useful in your organization. The first chart you can see is the dependency summary, which is a simple dashboard that you can use to view various insights around how your dependencies are being managed and what you need to focus on in the days to come. You can see here we've got different insights around the total number of dependencies that have been returned, how many are overdue, what the oldest raised dependency was, what's next up, which teams are receiving and raising the most dependencies as well. Next up is the dependency board, which is what you'd see in a PI planning event or in a typical dependency management forum like a Scrum of Scrums. Along the left-hand side, you can see each swim lane represents a different team, and each one of the issues on top of that would be a dependency that has a date associated with it on the top. We also have an option to overlay a heat map on top of your dependency board, so you can see where the most concentrated activity is and maybe where the most risk or where the highest bottlenecks might reside. We also have a dependency list, which is a very simple table which can be configured and sorted depending on what you'd like to focus on. As you can see in this instance, if I were a portfolio manager for this particular data set, I'd be quite worried because we have quite a few issues that are overdue, but at least I have the transparency now and the insights to be able to action them. We also have issues that might be in yellow, which indicates a mismatch in how that dependency has been captured. So if you have A is dependent on B, but A is actually due after B, then that is something that we need to untangle, and this tool will highlight that for you. We also have the dependency timeline, which is a simplified view of the dependency board. Each one of the circles here represents a cluster of issues that we can use to hover over. And at any time we can see what other issues or what other date horizons we need to be conscious of as we manage particular work streams. We also have a Backlog Manager view, which is your typical backlog view in Jira, but enhanced to show all the dependencies that might reside within each issue in that project. So in this case, I can drill into a particular issue and I can see what inbound or outbound dependencies that issue might have as well. One of our most popular chart options is the Dependency Matrix, which is a fantastic way of highlighting the potential bottlenecks that your teams might have when they're managing certain dependency clusters in their day-to-day work. You can see here, we have certain heat map overlays that can show where the most concentration is. And in this case, the platform infrastructure team might need to be talking to the marketing team about what their relationships and contracts are for how they manage the many dependencies that they have to manage day to day. We also have our group dependencies chart, which shows all of the projects that are raising dependencies on the left-hand side and those that are receiving them on the right-hand side. I can hover over any one of these project clusters to see on the right-hand side what are the outbound dependencies for that particular project. Or on the other side, I want to see which ones are actually receiving those on the right from the left. We also have a dependency topology view, which is a network visualization, which is interactive. I can use that to highlight and look at certain issues and see which clusters or which projects that particular issue might have to manage externally. We also have a dependency network view, which is like a spiderweb diagram almost, that shows the individual dependency sequences that each issue might follow. So almost like a critical path in a sense. It shows the direction that those issue dependencies are going through, and we can also overlay a status toggle on top to see what the individual status of each one of those dependencies are. We also have an individual dependencies view. So if you were to think of all of your dependencies in a circle and each arc represents a certain project, then you can see at a high level view what percentage of that pie represents the total amount of dependencies in your system. So in this case, I can hover over the security and compliance team, and I can see they represent 13.5% of the total dependencies in our working portfolio, which may or may not be over the risk appetite for that particular portfolio manager. Here we have our time to resolve chart, which shows at a high level how long it takes the average dependency to be resolved. At the top, you can see the distribution of the different lead times that it takes to resolve, and at the bottom, the cumulative total to say what percentage of dependencies are resolved within a particular time frame. And finally, we have our dependency cumulative flow diagram, which shows over time, are we actually maintaining our dependencies and managing them, or are they growing over time, which is something that obviously we need to action as soon as possible. And there you have it. Those are the different chart options that we have available in the Dependency Mapper for Jira app. We're constantly talking to our customers around the best ways that we can help visualize and manage their dependencies. So it'd be great to hear from you and what your ideas are.